Now, as many of you may know by now, I just wasn't a big fan of external sound cards, especially those tiny fiddly ones from Creative. I made a video about the G1, I made a video about the Play 3, but then I did a video about the Meridian Explorer, which is back here, and I was amazed by the sound quality of it. So when I got my hands on the external USB sound card that all the hi-fi guys seem to agree upon as one of the best out there, well, I just had to find out how good it is. And here it is. It's a video about the Audioquest Dragonfly Red. Well, hello there everyone and welcome to a new video over here on Antons Hardware channel. Now the summer is here and you want to head outside. And what do you do when you want to have the best audio quality to go outside? I mean, you're not going to take your Burst and Playmate 2 outside just to listen to some music. No, you want something more, well, portable. And that's where the Dragonfly comes in, especially if you use it with the Dragontail, which is a tiny little converter cable, so you can plug it into your phone, whichever Android or iPhone, you can use it. Now on the outside, I think the Dragonfly looks really cool. I mean, I like the Dragonfly logo on it, and when you turn it on, it actually has some colors which actually do mean something, and I'm going to tell you all about a bit later on. But in the meantime, I think it's a, well, nice looking, it's kind of hefty, it's rather heavy, it feels very solid build, and it's rather easy. You have the tiny little cap and, well, you just have USB and a headphone output and that's about it, so there's not much to tell about it. Now there's a lineup of 3 different models of the Dragonflies. You have the cheapest one, which is the black, then you have the middle one, which is the red, which I have here, and then you have the most expensive one, which is the Cobalt. All 3 Dragonflies are capable of 24 bits and 96 kHz, which is sort of standard these days for sound cards. The red shares some components with the black, and it also shares some components with the Cobalt version. Now, just to make things a bit easier to understand what those differences are, I made some slides which are very interesting, just to see what the similarities and the differences are with the other 2. So let's go into that. The output voltage for the red is 2.1 volts, just like the Cobalt. The output for the black is 1.2 volts and thus only capable of driving headphones up to 32 ohms. The DSP on the red is the same as the black. It's the microchip PIC 32MX270, an extreme low power or XLP microcontroller that runs at 50 MHz. The more expensive Cobalt uses the 274, and the only difference there is that that one runs at 72 MHz. At first I thought that the additional power was needed to support MQA, but then I found that the red also supports MQA. All Dragonflies have the excellent Saber digital to analog converter by ESS. The Black D, or the budget version, or as ESS puts it, the premier version, has the ES9010. In the red, the regular version, or Ultra as ESS calls it, it's the ES9016. And in the Cobalt there is a reference digital to analog converter, which is the ES9032 Q2M. Now I love those Saber decks. They are pleasant to listen to, they are very precise and more than capable of converting audio. It is used by a wide range of high-end products, and especially the ES9038 is one of the best digital to analog converters out there. The headphone amplifier in the black is the Texas Instruments TPA6130, a somewhat older but still very capable amplifier that is also used in a wide range of sound cards from the past. The red and the Cobalt have the better ESS Saber 9601. And this is the reason also why the red and the Cobalt can drive headsets up to 600 ohms, and with an impressive total harmonic distortion and signal to noise ratio. The black has just analog volume control, but the red and the black have that, what Audioquest says, 64 bits perfect digital volume control. Now that just means that the volume control is very precise, and by the way, there's nothing wrong with analog volume control. Now I'm very impressed in what kind of hi-fi components Audioquest has crammed into this little space, and I think that's really cool. But one of the main downsides always with those tiny little cramped spaces is that you get a lot of interference and other signals or unwanted signals like the, well, worsened stereo crosstalk and all those kind of things, which have shown in nearly all tests that I have done with external or tinier sound cards. So I was really interested in what the results from Rightmark Audio Analyzer were. And here they are. And these are the results that Rightmark Audio Analyzer gave. At first I was really happy because the frequency response gets a very good, and the drop-off, although it starts well at 15 kHz, it is audible only at, well, way past 30 kHz, so that's very good indeed. But the other results are some poors, some averages, and some poors and average, and overall it just gets an average. And I was sort of baffled by this, because why would something that so many hi-fi guys tend to give such a good, well, review if the results from Rightmark Audio Analyzer aren't that good? And then I thought, well, I already have the answer, and that is that everything is crammed in such a tiny little space that distortion is bound to happen, and there's no way to eliminate all that distortion. So, well, those results aren't that impressive. Now, despite the results from Rightmark Audio Analyzer being so, well, average, I wanted to say poor, but average is the correct word, I thought that it was a real joy to listen to. I mean, I spent days listening to this digital to analog converter, and the audio quality was really good. Now, it isn't the best I've ever heard. I mean, it's not on par with, say, a Burson Playmate 2. No, nothing like that. But for such a tiny little device, the audio quality is really good. Now, the audio that the Dragonfly produces, well, it feels sort of flowy, it feels dreamy, and it really is easy to listen to. It is a real joy to listen to. It isn't one of the most impressive digital to analog converters that I've ever heard, but for that price and being so very tiny, I mean, it was just a real joy to listen to. The highs were nice and pleasant, they weren't sharp, the middles were nice and emphasized, if that's the correct word, and the basses were nice and very deep, I must add, something that you don't hear with that many external USB sound cards. It was just a real pleasant listening session with very nice details. That it wasn't as accurate as I would hope to be, but that is something maybe for more expensive digital to analog converters. But otherwise I just couldn't find anything wrong with it. And next is, well, it doesn't really have an audio interface, or sorry, driver interface like many other sound cards have. No, but it has something else. It has the Audioquest Device Desktop Manager. Now, I really love that Audioquest has an update policy that actually does something, and it adds new functionalities. For instance, when you upgrade it to 1.06, it adds MQA. Now, I'm not going into the MQA debate again. It does add MQA and several other functionalities, and it gets updated. Now, the update process is really easy, like I'm showing right here. Green is 44,1 kHz. Blue is 48 kHz. Amber is 88,2 kHz. And magenta is 96 kHz. Now, it is a real mystery to me how well Audioquest seem to cram in so many tiny but hi-fi components in such a, well, tiny little device. Yes, there are some downsides to it, and that's the Rightmark Audio Analyzer results, but that's bound to happen in such a tiny little device. It's not really easy to shield everything off. Despite that, the listening sessions were just such a joy to listen to. It is just a high-end piece of kit. I also thought that the device would get really hot, especially when driving 250 ohm or higher headphones, but it just didn't feel anything. So that's also very nice. It's really hot in here where I'm recording right now, so I can't use the additional heat generated by a hi-fi card. So, and now for my conclusion. Well, you may have guessed it, I just love the Audioquest Dragonfly Red. The components are really good, the listening sessions were really good. Okay, right mark audio analyzer wasn't that good. There's also just another tiny, well, it isn't that tiny, downside to this sound card, and it's the price. At the moment of recording on Amazon, it was 192 euros, which is, well, rather expensive for an external tiny little USB card. I mean, it's, well, half the price of a kind of normal telephone, or mobile phone, sorry. I'm getting old. Besides that, definitely get one. There are just, the downside don't weigh up to the upsides. It's just that good. So, with this ending, I would like to thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I hope you enjoy your summer vacation. I'd like to see you in a couple of weeks. See you then. Bye bye.